This is the table bottom, and I'm going to use this square to draw a line at each of the four corners 1 inch away from the edge. And it's arbitrary, that's just my design feature. And what's going to happen is that once I complete this in all four corners, those will be my guides for when I set the leg on. All the lines in the corners have been drawn 1 inch away from the edge. I've sanded the legs and set them up to those pencil lines I drew just a second ago. And with that, I can use this ruler to measure the length of the rail pieces I'm going to need, both for the long side and the short side. I want to explain what I'm going to do next, and it goes to the structure of the table itself. So in the last video section, you saw me measure the structural side rails, the ones that will go and attach the legs to the table and just hold up the entire structure. Now what we're looking at right now is a model of one of those side rails. I haven't yet cut the ones that will go up from leg to leg, but I want to show structurally what I need to do to this table to get the legs to be properly mounted. What you're looking at right now is not sufficient. And so what I've done is I've made this triangle piece that I'll glue to this side rail, and then I'll screw that in to both the leg and the tabletop. The two saws I use to make these angled pieces are the radial arm when I'm making a straight cut, and the table saw when I'm making an angled cut. So I'm going to use the table saw and this setup I have here so I can come in at the blade at the angle that I want, in this case 45 degrees, and do it safely. The rail pieces have been cut. I cut them at a little long. I'll talk more about that in a little while. And I've placed them loosely in position. There's all the pieces but one have now basically been made. And what I'm going to do next is integrate these triangular pieces onto the rails so that we get the good support we need, rail to leg to table. I've glued the triangular pieces to the short rails, to the two short rails, and I have them clamped up here so that glue can set up properly. I'm going to do the same thing over here with the long rails. I got the clamps set up, so I'll do the gluing over here, and you'll see that next. For the long rail pieces, just like the short, I'm going to continue gluing these triangle pieces on. And you can see I've marked here with an X so that I know what side I want to be touching the leg. Put an X on there, so that'll go right there, and then one on the other side. And so I'll put a little glue on there. That's probably more than I need. You can see it's not much. Careful to get that X on the outside here. Now I'm going to smear that glue so it's a nice thin layer. And I'm doing that so that as I clamp this into position, it doesn't slide on me, which is what will happen if I don't do that. So I'm going to make sure I got this where I want it. I want this to be smooth between these two pieces here. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. I'll do that with the other side, get that into the clamp, repeat it with the last one, and let those set up for many hours. The long rail pieces are now glued with the triangles. Here they'll stay.